It's the same thing. Rather than we got the all seeing eye, the whole understanding of the Kundalini system. My people taught that. My people taught that. The crown chakra, the crystals, how you unlock the crown chakra, all of that was taught to us. I knew about the 33 vertebrae in my spine um before I even knew about um Jesus Christ dying at the age of 33 and ascending in the third day. I was told how the Kundalini rise up to 33 degrees of my spine, hit my middle gland, and then what they call melanin is released and goes back.
Ignorant as shit.
I was told that at a young age.
This is fucking
I
anti-science,
read that
dude.
in the book about 20 years.
It's anti-science. What up?
There's be a second one there and a third one there. 3 pack. I drank 4.
Pokemon mix or something. Tanya, what up? Scoping around on YouTube, seeing what's happening. Um, Tanya, tunes. Everybody's lost their damn minds today. Good God. Fucking ridiculous shit I've heard. So much ridiculous shit. Oh, should have. Okay, now. Well, like, I didn't hear anything about the Tyree Nichols thing immediately. Like, it wasn't really promoted on the news out here at first. And then I saw someone else's post about it and I looked into it and I was like, oh shit, that's kind of crazy. But then, like, so I was like watching people's racism shit talking about black's evil and this and that. And it's not white people preaching that stuff. It's always black people preaching that somebody taught them that, but it wasn't white people teaching them that. So I don't like hearing that racism anyway, shape or form towards anybody or about anybody except Eskimos. Fuck the Eskimos. But everything else, it's ignorant, it's stupid. It shows a distinct lack of understanding of science and genetics. But anyway, if you search white cops kill white criminal, it brings up the Tyree Nichols story. And I thought that was crazy. Like, so basically, they're teaching everybody to hate white people and be racist, and then trying to make it out like it's white people that are racist, which is what everybody's been saying for a long time. But now they're straight caught in the act, and they're still got their agents out on the streets. We're melanated, and like, pick up a fucking biology textbook. Everybody's got melanin in their skin. That's how skin works. It's all the same exact skin. Your particular shade is based on where you're adapted to, you know? It's just craziness. The stuff people are willing to listen to and believe because it makes them better in their mind. That's the only, like, it doesn't make you better in reality. All these people, I got solar power from my melanin. Like, no, you don't. It's just like everybody else. Vitamin D gets in your system through your solar scale, your solar system, and that's it. That's your human photosynthesis. Doesn't turn you into Superman. You're not going to fly around. Oh, and then I was over on this guy's channel watching him fuss and grum. Just trying to figure out if it was the same. Like, there's a couple people. Is that the same one?
Yeah, I imagine. We have the
Seems like it.
smaller.
Oh, but then I was like searching around earlier and I found a channel and they had like my friend's band from back in high school and they got
I'd like to see
all
it.
their albums
I thought
on
that
YouTube.
was
So I was like, sweet. So I was like listening to all that earlier.
my first flash that I bought was off of an old school friend. When he brought it, I was like, God damn, what is that? 8th scale? He said, not that. Jesus Christ, thank you. I could just imagine this scale. Good Lord. That'd be what, double the size of my flash.
Yeah, because that was like the before I got amnesia and got beat to death. So like anytime I can find stuff from that period of life to like help me try to remember, because I don't know what I've forgotten, like you forgot it, so there's no way to tell. But shit can trigger memory sometimes, so it can come back. There's just no recall process to it. It's got to be like, you know what I mean? And it did. I had a couple of memories, and I was like, oh, I remember, we were over there designing that album cover and designing the T-shirt, that stuff like that. Good stuff. All right, what's a good song? Something. You would have loved it last night when Kennedy called at 2 in the morning. Last night's hijinks were behind the scenes. No one will ever know what occurs. Kind of fun. But I remember. I hope it's decent. Nah, keep released. Warren, what up? ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa? mm. know, I had burritos today. Ate all my jalapeno poppers already. We still got cheesecake left.
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a single integrated platform. We want to multiply. Are you going to do it? I know you qualify. Are you going to do it? It's your circumstance. Are you going to do it? Just get yourself on time. Are you going to do it? Feel the heat pushing you to decide. Feel the heat burning you up, ready or not. Some like it hot and some sweat when the heat is on. Some feel the heat and decide that they can't go on. Some like it hot, but you can't tell how hot till you try. Some like it hot, so let's turn up the heat till we fry. The girls on your side, are you gonna do it? She wants to be your bride. Are you gonna do it? She wants to multiply. Are you gonna do it? I know you won't be satisfied until you do it. Feel the heat pushing you to the side. Feel the heat burning you up, ready or not. Some like it hot and some sweat when the heat is on. Some like it hot, some like it hot.
Guys, we should. You know, just
Some feel the heat and decide that they can't go on. Some like it hot, but you can't tell how hot till you try. Some like it hot, so let's turn up the heat till we fry. Some like it hot, some like it hot. Some it hot, so make it hot. This is a word that's more than a word.
Ferris wheel.
Take this. I love myself. I want you to love me. When I feel down, I want you above me. I search myself. I want you to find me. I forget myself. I want you to remind me. I don't want anybody else. When I think about you, I touch myself. Oh, I don't want anybody else. Oh no, oh no. You're the one who makes me come running. You're the sun who makes me shine. When you're around, I'm always laughing. I wanna make you mine. I close my eyes and see you before me. Think I would die if you were to ignore me. Never been say just too much. I adore you. I get down on my knees. I do anything for you. I don't want anybody else. When I think about you, I touch myself. Oh, I don't want anybody else. Oh no, oh no, oh no, yeah. I love myself. I want you to love me. When I feel down, I want you to love me. I search myself. I want you to find me. I forget myself. I want you to remind me. I don't want anybody else. When I think about you, I touch myself. Oh, I don't want anybody else. Oh no, oh no. I want you. I don't want anybody else. I wanna think about you. I touch myself. Oh, oh, oh. I don't want anybody else. When I think about you, I touch myself. Oh, I don't want anybody else. When I think about you, I touch myself. 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 I touch myself, I touch myself. I honestly do. I touch myself. I touch myself. I touch myself. I honestly do. I touch myself. I touch myself.
The war in Ukraine forced my family to flee. My sister, mother, and grandmother left their entire lives behind on February 24 and moved in with my family in America. They are very fortunate while more.
Yeah, you're very fortunate to get all.
soon it tastes right. If you say run, I'll run with you. If you say hide, we'll hide. All my love for you would break my heart in two. If you should fall into my arms, tremble like a rose. Under the moonlight, the serious moonlight. And if you say run, I'll run with you. And if you say hide, we'll hide. Because my love for you would break my heart in two. If you should fall into my arms and tremble like a put on your red shoes and dance the blues. Alive, the spirit of
Everybody is freaking out about this, all right? It's called the ice hack. And this has been on the news a couple times, but they keep taking it down.
Every time I hear somebody say, this is a hack, I wish somebody would punch them in the head really hard. Like, here's a life hack for you. Whack. I think I'll repaint the owl. Just tell them to hold.
I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to turn you on. I told you twice. I was only trying to be nice, only trying to be nice. So I didn't mean to turn you on. Hey, I should have died. Feeling guilty 'cause I won't get guilty 'cause I won't get. I didn't mean to turn you on. I didn't mean to turn you on. I took you out. I knew what you all about. I didn't mean to turn you on. I didn't mean to turn you on. Turn you on. Didn't mean to 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 turn you on.
Hi, this is Pendle. Welcome back to Millionaire Babe. Now, if you watched my video last week, we talked about some of the 5 things that you need to.
That's chocolate.
I had to escape. The city was sticky and cruel. Maybe I should have called you first, but I was dying to get you. I was dreaming while I drove along the straight road. Good kisses, sweet kisses, your arms open wide. This fever for you is just burning me up inside. I drove all night to get to you. I drove all night, caught in your from your sleep. Make love to you. What in this world keeps us from tearing apart? No matter where I go, I hear the beating of your heart. I think about you when the night is cold and dark. No one can move me the way that you do. Nothing erases the feeling between me and you. I drove all night to get to you.
cooked in your room. You're falling asleep to make love to you. Kisses your arms open wide. This fever for you is just burning the I drove all night to get to you. I drove all night cooked in your room. To make love to you. Kisses your arms open wide. This fever for you was just burning the earth
Hey, yeah, I wanna shoot, baby, shoot.
Ooh, how you doing, baby? No, not you. The bow-legged one. Yeah. What's your name? Damn, that sounds sexy. Here I go, here I go, here I go again, girls. What's my weakness? Okay, then chillin', minding my business. You thought I looked around and I couldn't believe this. I swear, I stand, my niece no witness. The brother had it going on with something kinda wicked. Had to kick it. I'm not shy, so I asked for the ditches. I hope no, that don't make me see what I want. Slip by through it swiftly. Dumps it in my head, so I dip back to my bag of tricks. Then I flip for a tip, made me wanna do tricks. And I licked them like a lollipop should be licked. Came to my senses and I chill for a bit. Don't know how you do the voodoo that you do so well. This is hell, make me wanna shoot. You packed in your stack, especially in the back, brother. I wanna thank your mother for a butt like that. Can I get some fries with that shake, booby? If looks could kill, you would be and you'd be over shotgun bang. What's up with that thing? I wanna know, how does it hang? Straight up, wait up, hold up, Mr. Lover. Like Chris said, you're a sexy mother. Well, I like them real wild, B-boy style by the mile. Two black skin with a smile, bright as the sun. I wanna have some fun. Come and give me some of that yum chocolate chip honey dip. Can I get a scoop? Baby, take the ride in my coupe. You make me wanna shoot.
Don't you know I wanna shoot, baby, shoot.
Well, let me bring it back to the subject. That's what it said. Make you get hot, make you work up a sweat. When you get to my loo, my darling, not falling in love, but I'm falling for you. When I get shot, bet you about $1, you were best under pressure.
Yo, shit, I wanna like taste you.
Get your lips wet, cause it's time to have a cat. On your mark, get set, go, let me shoot to the next man in a 3-piece suit. I spend all my
my dough. Ray me, cutie, shoot, shooba doobie, like Scooby Dooby Doo. I love you in your big jeans. You give me nice dreams. You make me wanna scream. Ooh, ooh, I like what you do. When you do what you do, you make me wanna shoot. Oh my goodness. Girl, look at him. He's the cutest brother in here. And he's coming this way.
Yes, and the B wanna get with me, cool, but I'm wicked G. Hit skins whenever quickly. I hit the skin for the hell of it, just for the yell I get, for the smell of it. You want my body, here's the hot rod. 12 inches to a yard and you sound like a 6'1" of a 6'2", wanna hit you.
So what you wanna do?
What you wanna do?
I wanna shoot.
You have no man to do everything wrong. It's not he wasn't wait so long. I'm ready to lose my number. Cause I'm out anywhere that I can't find you. I'm out there. Ready to lose my number. Cause I'm out anywhere that I can't find you. I'm out there. Ready to lose my number. Cause I'm out anywhere that I can't find you. I'm out there.
Take this. Find them.
What kind of person would come here at 5:45 a.m.?
Crackhead.
Well, there's Carly, a carpenter, just like her dad.
Yeah.
There's Juan. He's
Smoke
building a house
crack.
and a better life. Kenton and Sadie are here because the couple that grouts together stays together. Mary's a drama teacher. She'll do anything for her students.
I bet she will. That's fun. That guy's so much fun to watch play. And the shit he comes up with, it's like, what? It's like backwards sometimes. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Very good stuff. Oh. Oi, Chihuahua. Oh.
You talking, you clear. You promise your love, how much you care. You listen, still unsure. Your actions are lacking, nothing is clear. No word. Tell me love me
That's
while
one.
you get away. No word. No word. No promises of love. Feeling so true. I'm looking for a long romance. Gotta put you back to one time chance. No more words. Tell me, love me while you're looking away. No more words. No more words. No more promises of love. But don't fool yourself. Your empty passion won't satisfy me. I know. So don't pretend you want me. You
That's true.
want
Just something else.
me. No more words. You tell me you love me while you're looking away. No more words. No more words. And no more promises of love. We make love, it's all the same. Your eyes show nothing, no lover's flame. Well, don't promise we can work it out. You can leave right now if you're feeling down. No word. Tell me you love me while you're looking away. No word. No word. No word.
Charles. Krepusa.
Showing up on the first page of Google might not be the best.
You hang up on the first page of Google. Google. Bing. Everybody uses Bing. Oh shit. I don't know what it is here. It says it's 67 inside though. So it's probably like 49 or 50, something else. I hadn't really cared to check because it's nice in here. But I am fully covered up, so I don't know. As soon as it gets down to 64, I'll notice it. I'll look over and I'll be like, yep, 64. And it'll be fucking tasty. Tasty cakes. Uh, uh, uh. I'd have to be crippled to stay in bed the whole day. Like, I hate those days. That's when my back's out. And I can't get up or my back will fall out and I'll be collapsed on the floor. It's crises. That's only happened twice in my life so far. Luckily. As long as there's racist bullshit like that going on. Oh shit. Okay, I cannot deal with that anymore. I tried. I know what they're going for, but no, they're not quite there yet. Now it won't show me where it's at, so it's temporarily for what? Ah, sweet nectar. Savage Day. I'm listening to old music. Like I was searching around earlier and I found someone had started posting my friend's band from back in high school era. And they ended up getting signed to a national label and shit like that. So I was stoked on it. And the guy sent me like a discography. And I was like, oh, you got this other band, my other friend. And he's got that up there. So it's cool. It's like I get to hear all my people's music from back in the day. I don't know what kept changing. Kick ass, man. Oh, what was this? There's something about apples, not apple. I'm always looking, dude. I never stopped looking. I had like 3 interviews last week. I got more paperwork to fill out. And it's like a week and a half till the lawsuit proceeds. I'm just ready for my settlement so I can take a break, put out some other fires. I need to go collect my guitars. I wonder what this guy would give for a copy of.
Cinnamon! Cinnamon!
Right about
Grit.
God, is everybody turning pseudo out of nowhere or what? Fucking never heard so much bullshit about slavery in my life. Fucking go over there and fucking put an end to it. If it's so bad, nobody's putting a stop to it. It's still going on. Your very government practices. Government gave corporate America the power to own slaves when they made prisons a private system. They granted that fucking precedent was set to give American corporations the right to own slaves, the same as the government. Everybody's worried about their stupid $200 check. She's a pit.
We've all got work worries, but Asana helps you tame them so you can take back control. Make work work for you with Asana.
Pretty much. They're fucking straight out liars, dude. That shit's mind boggling how anybody can fall for it. But at that point, it's like, are they really falling for anything, or they're devil worshippers at that point? If they're knowingly choosing the wrong thing and choosing the lie and choosing the evil, whatever fucking term you want to apply it to, it's wrong, and they're choosing it as their fucking way of life, so they're wrong. That's why we have to eradicate the wrong in all shape and form. Expose. Ooh, The Gates on YouTube Movies. I watched that earlier. It was cool stuff. Okay, it notifies me it's not. So who's
Dance with the mantis, no for slim chances. Chances, anthem, swing like Creek Sanford. Taking it straight to big man on campus. Brandish a weapon, don't get dropped to the canvas. Scandalous, make the metro panic. Call static, with or without the automatic. And while I'm at it, yo, you gotta catch fashion, it's classic. Guts in half, they go back. Your weight is spinning, blades are spinning. Slay him in the 8th inning, stay truck, guard, stay playing linen. Kill rap, observe the uptown, don't feel that. Ming jeans on scene with a real at. 2,000 Jesus moving with an ill ego. For real, ill lines, ill people, yo, bring it back, 9 more civilian, Italian deals. Monopoly and bills, y'all niggas lying. Caught 300. Boy with a mean stomach, go broke, all seen, done it. Words from the heavy set. If I don't eat, then we already met. Flies, dope, lava, and coke.
Now what clan you know we're live this hill? What shots at Big Ben like we got time to kill? Niggas can't jello, I'm just too hot to tell. Put on my gasoline boots and walk through hell. With 9 generals, 9 niggas in your video. 9 milli low, semi-auto with no cereal. And metaphysical, I speak for criminals. Don't pay their bills on time and fuck with digital. Never seen smoke up back at evergreen. My squad got a dome. More heads for the submarine. Johnny in the dungeon. Taking off bets, throw your wanted. Scare money, don't make money. That's words, John Mo. San Juan, Puerto Rico. Blowing hydro on the beach with some ego. My drum will and hollow for you to swallow. Blowing a nozzle. Yeah, whistle, one in the head. This is cold red, man for dead. X amount of lead spray from the barrel. We play the sweet like Carla O'Carroll. Pull your grip, rifle, banana clip shit to make my niggas from East New York flip. Yo, you may catch me in a pair of polo skippy flats and cat razor blades in my gums. Bobby, you may catch me in yellow Havana Jordan boot jump with my face off, son. Bobby, I might just catch me in the park playing chess, studying math, sounding 7 in the sun. Bobby, but you won't catch me without the ratchet in the tray smoked out, dead broke off point. Bobby.
Swallows comfortable, chocolate frosting. Your socks hanging out, yours is talking. Rock so steadily, son, still crazy. From my old boys and D-Buzz in the 80s. Nat Turner's with Burners, Jackie Jordan Kersey. Short time niggas had a rap reimburse me. Roxdale's movie best sells, Bloomingdale blocks, oxtails chopped up in Caribbean spots. I'm nice, maxed out, creeping with the axe out. Murder beach bikini bitches switching with their backs out.
Niggas wanna pop shit, I pop clips. Bitch, I put my dick on your lips. Alabama, split hammer, slay quick that. David Banner, camera race shit. Shells in the mouth, jailhouse sticks, my powder voice, Snow White stare.
TV's its
Killers,
own
career the grip,
problem.
gone body, shit, pop Harley split. You might see me in the six, that's not my style. You might see me with a bitch, that's not my child. I be in the bench, so keep a low profile. Dead serious, take flicks and don't smile. Trying to get money, y'all cats are wild. I post for the clothes, make a song like wow. I'm a chip off the board game. Got sport game, live life to the fullest. Still with more fame. Starts on layaway, beats on standby. Outfits pressed up, ready for anti.
Run on the track like Jesse Owens. Broke the record flowing without any knowing that my wordplay won the 400-meter relay. Song must have rapped the taunt from the DJ, an athlete with his iron cleat in the ground. Wireless nigga who sprint off the gun sound. The best time yet, still 7.0. Swift flow, made the camera from cold blow.
She stopped by. All the suits are custom made in London. I've got something that you really like. Gonna take you up tonight, all over, all over. Gonna take you up tonight, all over your body. Feel the silky touch of my senses. They will keep you looking so brand new. Let me cover you with velvet kisses. I'll create a world that's made for you. Dress you up in my love, all over, all over. We'll dress you up in my love, all over your body. We'll dress you up in my love, in my love, all over your body.
The most important thing is family. AAA shares the same family values. For over 100 years, AAA has been providing legendary service and has helped what it values most, its members. Join up.
Freebies.
She wasn't. You know she wasn't. She wasn't. You know she wasn't. She wants a sex and drugs, sex and drugs, sex and drugs, sex and drugs. She wants a sex and drugs, sex and drugs. She wants a sex and drugs, sex and drugs. Flow, you go for flow. Boldly go, oh, no, I told you so. Oh, go for broke, bitch. We're getting crazy like we're going on a coke binge. She said she doesn't like coke, she likes the way it smells. I told her bitch she was crazy before she went to jail. Money to the two, money, this is what we do. We get stupid in the club, cause I'm a fucking fool. Sex and drugs, sex and drugs, sex and drugs, sex and drugs. Sex and drugs, yup, this is what she loves, yup. I see her up in the club, shaking her fucking stub, louder than a bomb. Bitch, why you smoking drugs? Is it because you really want someone to show you love? I can do it, follow me to the alley up the street. Just pretend you and me are up and down on the beach. Now, bro, my top, hey, don't you stop. I ain't got no type of drugs, but I got some soda pop. Sex and drugs, sex and drugs, sex and drugs, sex and drugs. She's like sex and drugs, 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 sex and drugs. She wants some sex and drugs, sex and drugs. She wants some sex and drugs, sex and drugs. She wants some sex and drugs, sex and drugs. She wants some sex and drugs, sex and drugs. She's like.
fucking self. You know that. We all know that. Quit being a fucking idiot. At least well, how you did it. You didn't do it just by sitting on your fucking fat ass on your couch. The same as I'm doing, sitting here on my fucking bed. You didn't do it that way. You didn't do it that way. I don't care what the fuck you say. In 5 fucking days, you didn't do that. Mm-mm. And that ain't about being fucking jealous. That's about knowing what the fuck is going on in the YouTube streets. You said it yourself. You've been in YouTube 8 months. I've been here since 2009. I think I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, old man. I've seen many, many, many people do exactly what the fuck you're doing. And have you grown lately? No. Nah, you hit close to 1,200 and you peaked and you stopped. You haven't grown a single 5 subscribers per day since then. You just all miraculously in 5 days grew over 400 subscribers, and then it just just as miraculously as you started growing, you stopped. Johnny the record and they saw Waterhead. We looked at me and he laughed and said, "Hey, I got my subscribers today." You fucking stupid thing. Come on, dude. Think just because you're old, you're outsmarting people. You don't even know half the things about YouTube that most of the rest of us know. You come on YouTube asking everybody else, what do I do about this? What do I do about that? But yet somehow you grew 400 in 5 days. You think we're fucking dumb? You may pull your fucking cheeks full over everybody else's eyelids, but you didn't get me, brother. You didn't get me. And then you're gonna come up and you're gonna call me out? The fuck is wrong with you? The fuck is wrong? You gonna call me jealous? Man, I'm jealous because you live in a gated community and fucking getting your subs on cheap. Then try to tell everybody that you earned them motherfuckers. You didn't earn nothing. You wouldn't earn a dick in your ass if you bent over and touched your fucking ankles. Come on, dude. God, this I am. I've been to Old Man's Cave, but it was clear back in 2005, back when I was in foster care. I've been to Old Man's Cave. That was the last time, though. But you're talking clear down by Athens, Hawking County. I loved that place. That was a cool place. But if I had a car, I'd get there. I ain't got no car. Everybody tries to get on my ass. I tell everybody, yeah, I'm a poor piece of shit. If people weren't offended by the things that I said and weren't offended by my channel, then why would they come up and try to bust my ass? Maybe because I'm more real than everybody else?
Word.
Sure, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had help. I never once said that he bought it. I said, like me going over to the Philippines, the Filipinos channels, gaining my 400, he did something like that. There's many, 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 many growth channels out there. They ain't just got to come from the Philippines. He did the shit himself. He went over into one of them growth channels and got all these subscribers. There's no way he can fucking lie. I have never. People with a million subscribers have a hard time growing 400 or 500 subscribers in just a few days. Come on. You gonna lie to all your fucking people? You gonna lie to everybody that's trusted you all these fucking months you've been up here? Quit that shit. And then you go get pissed off when somebody fucking pulls you out on it. You're lay down with dogs, you get fucking fleas. Done scratched all my motherfucking fleas off. I ain't pissing with that fucking fake ass dude no more.
I don't know that it's
Johnny.
fake.
You know what? I'm not gonna be like him. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you go over to that dude's channel and I don't want nothing to do with you no more. I don't care who you support. You can go over there and suck anybody's dick you want. You're still more than welcome over here, but that fucking clown ain't welcome here no more. Good morning, Daniel. Just showing up, slow dick the clown. Oh, I did this, I did that. He bought my fucking stream yard. If y'all go and rewatch that shit, you'll see he didn't buy my stream yard. Somebody else did. He's just taking fucking claim for it. Like the little bitch that he is. Well, who bought a whole channel? That ain't nothing to do with me. They're dumbasses too. If they buy a channel, go do it yourself, like everybody else does. I didn't said Dick bought any fucking thing. But he did have help. That's obvious. Right there in the fucking pudding. You know, you go and buy a thing of banana pudding and it says banana pudding and then you taste it and it tastes like chocolate. That's slow dick. It comes off at one thing and tastes like another.
Did you just say chocolate dick?
He didn't, and then later on he says, oh, if it wasn't for me, your stream yard wouldn't be bought. Who's to say that somebody else wouldn't have done it? Oh, yeah, look, there's the old man. There's the old man. There's Slow Dick. Go to bed, Slow Dick. Get the fuck off your couch. Go to bed, Slow Dick. It's in your videos if you haven't deleted them. Of course, then again, being that the videos are older, you can't rewatch the chat. But we both know that Dawn paid for most of it. You put in $6, and I don't even think you did $6. I think it was somebody.
What happened?
Somebody else's $6 that you just put.
What's going on? Goddamn.
Up for me, for them.
Why is this going? Just find the fuck is this thing doing?
Back the fuck off. I told you to be careful with your YouTube once you got monetized. What do? You still let people come up custom. You still let people come up using racial terms and whatnot. You don't fucking listen. You're just an old man stuck in your own fucking way and don't give a fuck what somebody that actually knows the hell they're talking about tells you. Instead, you'd go and ask everybody else that had just barely gotten copyrighted and not, monetized. And I tell you to go and talk to somebody that's got 20 some thousand subscribers, 40 some thousand subscribers, this and that. Do you talk to them? No. You'd rather go talk to somebody that's got 1,000. That like they know what the fuck they're talking about. You are a dumb motherfucker, dude. Why don't you just
Mesdames et messieurs, s'il vous plaît, soyez prêts pour Aventura et Pause. C'est parti.
Let me tell you all the story about a mouse named Lori. Yeah, Lori was a mouse in a big round house. She called herself the hoe with the money. Was the mouse, smoked the cheese and liked it all the money. Was the mouse, smoked the cheese and liked it all the money. Yeah, sneaky little bitch. I'm a sorry, sir. Inspiration for the wisdom now nothing else to me. Those songs, they always for me to show how you say cover back then you. So Lord, your Christ, like you had it. Your grace now trying now. Never thought to question why.
One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Shed a tear cause I'm missing you. Still alright to smile when I think about you every day now. Was a time when I wasn't sure, but you set my mind at ease. There is no doubt you're in my heart now. You said, woman, take it slow and work yourself up right. All is just a little patience. Since you come, take it slow and we come together right. All we need is just a little patience. I can't live right now away. Sometimes it's so intense, but I can't speak all right. But you know love is one more thing to consider. You are letting me know just fine. You and I just little patience. Since you got the time, cause the lights are shining bright. And I've got more days to make it. We won't make it. Oh, I'll never break it. I can't take it.
We've been trying something a little different this tour. My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me when did you sleep last night? In the clouds, where the sun don't ever shine. I was shiver the whole night through. My girl, where will you go? I'm going where the girl knows. In the clouds, where the sun don't ever shine. I will shiver the whole night through. The clouds was a burning man, just about a mile from here. His head was found in a time field, but his body never was found. My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me where did you sleep last night? In the clouds, where the sun don't ever shine. I was shiver the whole night through. My girl, where will you go? I'm going where the cold wind blows. In the pines, where the sun don't ever shine. I will shiver the whole night through. My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me where did you sleep last night? In the clouds, where the sun don't ever shine. I will shiver the whole night through. My girl, Fight tuberculosis, folks. Christmas Eve, an old junkie selling Christmas seals on North Park Street. The priests, they call them. Fight tuberculosis, folks. People hurried by, gray shadows on a distant road. It was getting late and no money to score. He turned into a side street and the lake wind hit him like a knife. Cab stopped just ahead under a streetlight. Boy got out with a suitcase. Thin kid in prep school clothes. Familiar face, the priest told himself. Watching from the doorway. Reminds me of something a long time ago. The boy there with his overcoat unbuttoned, reaching into his pants pocket for the cab fare. The cab drove away and turned the corner. The boy went inside a building. Yes, maybe. The suitcase was there in the doorway. The boy nowhere in sight. Gone to get the keys, most likely. Have to move fast. He picked up the suitcase and started for the corner. Made it. Glanced down at the case. Didn't look like the case the boy had or any boy would have. Priest couldn't put his finger on what was so old about the case. Old and dirty, poor quality leather, and heavy. Better see what's inside. He turned into Lincoln Park, found an empty place, and opened the gate. Two severed human legs that belonged to a young man with dark skin. Shiny black leg hairs glittered in a dim streetlight. The legs had been forced into the case, and he had to use his knee on the back of the case to shove them out. Legs yet, he said, and walked quickly away with the case. Might bring a few dollars to score. The buyer sniffed suspiciously. Kind of funny smell about it. Is this Mexican leather? Sure. Well, some joker didn't cure it. The buyer looks at the case with cold disfavor. Not even right sure he killed it, whatever it is. Free is the best I can do, and it hurts. But since this is Christmas and you're the priest, he slipped 3 notes under the table into the priest's dirty hand. Priest faded into the street shadows, seedy and furtive. 3 cents didn't buy a bag, nothing less than a nickel. Say, remember that old Eddie Croker told me not to come back unless I paid him the 3 cents I owe. Yeah, isn't that a fruit for you, blowy stack about 3 lousy cents? The doctor was not pleased to see it. Now, what do you want? I told you. The priest laid 3 bills on the table. The doctor put the money in his pocket and started to scream. I've had trouble. People have been around. I mean, with my license. The priest just sat there, eyes old and heavy with years of junk on the doctor's face. I can't write you a prescription. The doctor jerked open the drawer and stood an ampule across the table. That's all I have in the office. The doctor stood up. Take it and get out. He screamed, hysterical. Priest's expression did not change. The doctor added in quieter tones. After all, I'm a professional man, and I shouldn't be bothered by people like you. Is that all you have for me? 1 lousy quarter G? Couldn't you lend me a nickel? Oh, get out, get out! I'll call the police, I tell you. All right, now, I'm going. Old and far to walk. Rooming house, a shabby street, room on the top floor. These stairs off. The priest there pulling himself up along the banister. He went into the bathroom. Yellow wall panels, toilet dripping, got his works from under the wash basin. Wrapped in brown paper, back to his room, get every drop in the dropper. He rolled up his sleeve. Then he heard a groan from next door, room 18. The Mexican kid lived there. The priest had passed him on the stairs and saw the kid was hooked. But he never spoke because he didn't want any juvenile connections, bad news in any language. The priest had had enough bad news in his life. Heard the groan again, a groan he could feel. No mistaking that groan, what it meant. Maybe he had an accident or something. In any case, I can't enjoy my priestly medications for that sound coming through, Thin walls, you understand. The priest put down his dropper, old hall, and knocked on the door of room 18. Eunice, it's the priest, kid. I live next door. You hear someone hobbling across the floor. A bolt slid. The boy stood there in his underwear and shorts, eyes black with pain. He started to fall. The priest helped him over to the bed. What's wrong, son? It's my legs, senor. Cramps, and now I'm without medicine. The priest could see the cramps, like knots of wood there in the young, lean legs, dark, shiny black leg hair. 3 years ago, I damaged myself in a bicycle race, and it was then that the cramps start. And he has the leg cramps back with compound junk interest. The old priest stood there, healing the boy groan. He inclined his head as if in prayer, went back and got his dropper. It's just a quarter G, kid. I do not require much. The The boy was sleeping when the priest left room 18. He went back to his room and sat down on the bed. Then it hit him like heavy, silent snow. All the gray junk yesterdays. He sat there and received the immaculate fix. And since he was himself a priest, there was no need to call.
Take this.
Darling, the
Listen to the hello free. Taking my soul. Temptation, love for control. In my dreams. Listen to the hello free. Taking my soul. Temptation, love for control.
Monster.com makes games great. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to say again because they never were, and they're complicated. See, with Monster.com, making a Gantt chart is as simple as throwing your process.
This is
X.
This is Sparta. Hmm.
The System's Neatest Trick. Theodore John Kaczynski. The supreme luxury of the society of technical necessity will be to grant the bonus of useless revolt and of an acquiescent smile. Jacques Ellul. The system has played a trick on today's would-be revolutionaries and rebels. The trick is so cute that if it had been consciously planned, one would have to admire it for its almost mathematical elegance. 1. What the system is not. Let's begin by making clear what the system is not. The system is not George W. Bush and his advisors and appointees. It is not the cops who maltreat protesters. It is not the CEOs of the multinational corporations, and it is not the Frankensteins in their laboratories who criminally tinker with the genes of living things. All of these people are servants of the system, but in themselves they do not constitute the system. In particular, the personal and individual values, attitudes, beliefs, and behavior of any of these people may be significantly in conflict with the needs of the system. To illustrate with an example, the system requires respect for property rights, yet CEOs, cops, scientists, and politicians sometimes steal. In speaking of stealing, we don't have to confine ourselves to actually lifting of physical objects. We can include all illegal means of acquiring property, such as cheating on income tax, accepting bribes, and any other form of graft or corruption. But the fact that CEOs, cops, scientists, and politicians sometimes steal does not mean that stealing is part of the system. On the contrary, when a cop or politician steals something, he is rebelling against the system's requirement of respect for law and property. Yet even when they are stealing, these people remain servants of the system as long as they publicly maintain their support for law and property. Whatever illegal acts may be committed by politicians, cops, or CEOs as individuals, theft, bribery, and graft are not part of the system, but diseases of the system. The less stealing there is, the better the system functions. And that is why the servants and boosters of the system always advocate obedience to the law in public, even if they may sometimes find it convenient to break the law in private. Take another example. Although the police are the system's enforcers, police brutality is not part of the system. When the cops beat the crap out of a suspect, they are not doing the system's work. They are only letting out their own anger and hostility. The system's goal is not brutality or the expression of anger. As far as police work is concerned, the system's goal is to compel obedience to its rules and to do so with the least possible amount of disruption, violence, and bad publicity. Thus, from the system's point of view, the ideal cop is one who never gets angry, never uses any more violence than necessary, and as far as possible relies on manipulation rather than force to keep people under control. Police brutality is only another disease of the system, not part of the system. For proof, look at the attitude of the media. The mainstream media almost universally condemns police brutality. Of course, the attitude of the mainstream media represents, as a rule, the consensus of opinion among the powerful classes in our society as to what is good for the system. What has been said about theft, graft, and police brutality applies also to issues of discrimination and victimization, such as racism, sexism, homophobia, poverty, and sweatshops. All of these are bad for the system. For example, the more that Black people feel themselves scorned or excluded, the more likely they are to turn to crime, and the less likely they are to educate themselves for careers that will make them useful to the system. Modern technology, with its rapid long-distance transportation and its disruption of traditional ways of life, has led to the mixing of populations so that nowadays people of different races, nationalities, cultures, and religions have to live and work side by side. If people hate or reject one another on the basis of race, ethnicity, religion, sexual preference, etc., the resulting conflicts interfere with the functioning of the system. Apart from a few old fossilized relics of the past like Jesse Helms, the leaders of the system know this very well. And that is why we are taught in school and through the media to believe that racism, sexism, homophobia, and so forth are social evils to be eliminated. No doubt, some of the leaders of the system, some of the politicians, scientists, and CEOs, privately feel that a woman's place is in the home, or that homosexuality and interracial marriage are repugnant. But even if the majority of them felt that way, it would not mean that racism, sexism, and homophobia were part of the system, any more than the existence of stealing among the leaders means that stealing is a part of the system. Just as the system must promote respect for law and property for the sake of its own security, the system must also discourage racism and other forms of victimization for the same reason. That is why the system, notwithstanding any private deviations by individual members of the elite, is basically committed to suppressing discrimination and victimization. For proof, look again at the attitude of the mainstream media. In spite of occasional timid dissent by a few of the more daring and reactionary commentators, media propaganda overwhelmingly favors racial and gender equality and acceptance of homosexuality and interracial marriage. The system needs a population that is meek, nonviolent, domesticated, docile, and obedient. It needs to avoid any conflict or disruption that could interfere with the orderly functioning of the social machine. In addition to suppressing racial, ethnic, religious, and other group hostilities, it also has to suppress or harness for its own advantage all other tendencies that could lead to disruption or disorder, such as machismo, aggressive impulses, and any inclination to violence. Naturally, traditional racial and ethnic antagonisms die slowly. Machismo, aggressiveness, and violent impulses are not easily suppressed, and attitudes towards sex and gender identity are not transformed overnight. Therefore, there are many individuals who resist these changes, and the system is faced with the problem of overcoming their resistance. 2. How the system exploits the impulse to rebel. All of us in modern society are hemmed in by a dense network of rules and regulations. We are at the mercy of large organizations such as corporations, governments, labor unions, universities, churches, and political parties, and consequently, we are powerless. As a result of the servitude, the powerlessness, and the other indignities that the system inflicts on us, there is widespread frustration, which leads to an impulse to rebel. And this is where the system plays its neatest trick. Through a brilliant sleight of hand, it turns rebellion to its own advantage. Many people do not understand the roots of their own frustration, hence their rebellion is directionless. They know that they want to rebel, but they don't know what they want to rebel against. Luckily, the system is able to fill their need by providing them with a list of standard and stereotyped grievances in the name of which to rebel. Racism, homophobia, women's issues, poverty, sweatshops, the whole laundry bag of activist issues. Huge numbers of would-be rebels take the bait. In fighting racism, sexism, etc., etc., they are only doing the system's work for. In spite of this, they imagine that they are rebelling against the system. How is this possible? First, in the 1950s, the system was not yet committed to equality for Black people, women, and homosexuals, so that action in favor of these causes really was a form of rebellion. Consequently, these causes came to be conventionally regarded as rebel causes. They have retained that status today simply as a matter of tradition. That is, because each rebel generation imitates the preceding generations. Second, there are still significant numbers of people, as I pointed out earlier, who resist the social changes that the system requires, and some of these people even are authority figures such as cops, judges, or politicians. These resistors provide a target for the would-be rebels, someone for them to rebel against. Commentators like Rush Limbaugh help the process by ranting against the activists. Seeing that they have made someone angry fosters the activist's illusion that they are rebelling. Third, in order to bring themselves into conflict even with that majority of the system's leaders who fully accept the social changes that the system demands, the would-be rebels insist on solutions that go farther than what the system's leaders consider prudent, and they show exaggerated anger over trivial matters. For example, they demand payment of reparations to Black people, and they often become enraged at any criticism of an oppressed group, no matter how cautious and reasonable. In this way, the activists are able to maintain the illusion that they are rebelling against the system. But the illusion is absurd. Agitation against racism, sexism, homophobia, and the like no more constitutes rebellion against the system than does agitation against political graft and corruption. Those who work against graft and corruption are not rebelling, but acting as the system's enforcers. They are helping to keep the politicians obedient to the rules of the system. Those who work against racism, sexism, and homophobia similarly are acting as the system's enforcers. They help the system to suppress the deviant racist, sexist, and homophobic attitudes that cause problems for the system. But the activists don't act only as the system's enforcers. They also serve as a kind of lightning rod that protects the system by drawing public resentment away from the system and its institutions. For example, there were several reasons why it was to the system's advantage to get women out of the home and into the workplace. In the 1950s, if the system, as represented by the government or the media, had begun out of the blue a propaganda campaign designed to make it socially acceptable for women to center their lives on careers rather than on the home, the natural human resistance to change would have caused widespread public resentment. What actually happened was that the system's changes were spearheaded by radical feminists, behind whom the system's institutions trailed at a safe distance. The resentment of the more conservative members of society was directed primarily against the radical feminists rather than against the system and its institutions, because the changes sponsored by the system seemed slow and moderate in comparison with the more radical solutions advocated by feminists. And even these relatively slow changes were seen as having been forced on the system by pressure from the radicals. 3. The system's neatest trick. So, in a nutshell, the system's neatest trick is this. A. For the sake of its own efficiency and security, the system needs to bring about deep and radical social changes to match the changed conditions resulting from technological progress. B. The frustration of life under the circumstances imposed by the system leads to rebellious impulses. C. Rebellious impulses are co-opted by the system in the service of the social changes it requires. Activists rebel against the old and outdated values that are no longer use of the system and in favor of the new values that the system needs us to accept. D. In this way, rebellious impulses, which otherwise may have been dangerous to the system, are given an outlet that's not only harmless to the system, but useful to it. E. Much of the public resentment resulting from the imposition of social changes is drawn away from the system and its institutions and is directed instead at the radicals who spearhead the social changes. Of course, this trick was not planned in advance by the system's leaders, who are not conscious of having played the trick at all. The way it works is something like this. In deciding what position to take on any issue, the editors, publishers, and owners of the media must consciously or unconsciously balance several factors. They must consider how their readers or viewers will react to what they print or broadcast about the issue. They must consider how their advertisers, their peers in the media, and other powerful persons will react. And they must consider the effect on the security of the system of what they print or broadcast. These practical considerations will usually outweigh whatever personal feelings they may have about the issue. The personal feelings of the media leaders, their advertisers, and other powerful persons are varied. They may be liberal or conservative, religious or atheistic. The only universal common ground among the leaders is their commitment to the system, its security, and its power. Therefore, within the limits imposed by what the public is willing to accept, the principal factor determining the attitudes propagated by the media is a rough consensus of opinion among the media leaders and other powerful people as to what is good for the system. Thus, when an editor or other media leader sets out to decide what attitude to take toward a movement or cause, his first thought is whether the movement includes anything that is good or bad for the system. Maybe he tells himself that his decision is based on moral, philosophical, or religious grounds, but it is an observable fact that in practice, the security of the system takes precedence over all other factors in determining the attitude of the media. For example, if a news magazine editor looks at the militia movement, he may or may not sympathize personally with some of its grievances and goals, but he also sees that there will be a strong consensus among his advertisers and his peers in the media that the militia movement is potentially dangerous to the system and therefore should be discouraged. Under these circumstances, he knows that his magazine had better take a negative attitude toward the militia movement. The negative attitude of the media presumably is part of the reason why the militia movement has died down. When the same editor looks at radical feminism, he sees that some of its more extreme solutions would be dangerous to the system, but he also sees that feminism holds much that is useful to the system. Women's participation in the business and technical world integrates them and their families better into the system. Their talents are of service to the system in business and technical matters. Feminist emphasis on ending domestic abuse and rape also serves the system's needs, since rape and abuse, like other forms of violence, are dangerous to the system. Perhaps most important, the editor recognizes that the pettiness and meaninglessness of modern housework and the social isolation of the modern housewife can lead to serious frustration for many women. Frustration that will cause problems for the system unless women are allowed an outlet through careers in the business and technical world. Even if this editor is a macho type who personally feels more comfortable with women in a subordinate position, he knows that feminism, at least in a relatively moderate form, is good for the system. He knows that his editorial posture must be favorable toward moderate feminism, otherwise he will face the disapproval of his advertisers and other powerful people. This is why the mainstream media's attitude has been generally supportive of moderate feminism, mixed toward radical feminism, and consistently hostile only toward the most extreme feminist positions. Through this process, rebel movements that are dangerous to the system are subjected to negative propaganda, while rebel movements that are believed to be useful to the system are given cautious encouragement in the media. Unconscious absorption of media propaganda influences would-be rebels to rebel in ways that serve the interests of the system. The university intellectuals also play an important role in carrying out the system's trick. Though they like to fancy themselves independent thinkers, the intellectuals are, allowing for individual exceptions, the most over-socialized, the most conformist, the tamest and most domesticated, the most pampered, dependent, and spineless group in America today. As a result, their impulse to rebel is particularly strong, but because they are incapable of independent thought, real rebellion is impossible for them. Consequently, they are suckers for the system's trick, which allows them to irritate people and enjoy the illusion of rebelling without ever having to challenge the system's basic values. Because they are the teachers of young people, the university intellectuals are in a position to help the system play its trick on the young, which they do by steering young people's rebellious impulses toward the standard stereotype targets: racism, colonialism, women's issues, etc. Young people who are not college students learn through the media or through personal contact of the social justice issues for which students rebel, and they imitate the students. Thus, a youth culture develops in which there is a stereotype mode of rebellion that spreads through imitation of peers, just as hairstyles, clothing styles, and other fads spread through imitation. 4. The trick is not perfect. Naturally, the system's trick does not work perfectly. Not all of the positions adopted by the activist community are consistent with the needs of the system. In this connection, some of the most important difficulties that confront the system are related to the conflict between two different types of propaganda that the system has to use: integration propaganda and agitation propaganda. Integration propaganda is the principal mechanism of socialization in modern society. It is propaganda that is designed to instill in people the attitudes, beliefs, values, and habits that they need to have in order to be safe and useful tools of the system. It teaches people to repress permanently or sublimate those emotional impulses that are dangerous to the system. Its focus is on long-term attitudes and deep-seated values of broad applicability, rather than on attitudes towards specific current issues. Agitation propaganda plays on people's emotions so as to bring out certain attitudes or behaviors in specific current situations. Instead of teaching people to suppress dangerous emotional impulses, it seeks to stimulate certain emotions for well-defined purposes localized in time. The system needs an orderly, docile, cooperative, passive, dependent population. Above all, it requires a non-violent population, since it needs the government to have a monopoly on the use of physical force. For this reason, integration propaganda has to teach us to be horrified, frightened, and appalled by violence, so that we will not be tempted to use it even when we are very angry. By violence, I mean physical attacks on human beings. More generally, integration propaganda has to teach us soft, cuddly values that emphasize non-aggressiveness, interdependence, and cooperation. On the other hand, in certain contexts, the system itself finds it useful or necessary to resort to brutal, aggressive methods to achieve its own objectives. The most obvious example of such methods is warfare. In wartime, the system relies on agitation propaganda. In order to win public approval of military action, it plays on people's emotions to make them feel frightened and angry at their real or supposed enemy. In this situation, there's a conflict between integration propaganda and agitation propaganda. Those people in whom the cuddly values and the aversions of violence have been most deeply planted can't easily be persuaded to approve a bloody military operation. Here, the system's trick backfires to some extent. The activists who have been rebelling all along in favor of the values of integration propaganda continue to do so during wartime. They oppose the war effort not only because it is violent, but because it is racist, colonialist, imperialist, etc., all of which are contrary to the soft, cuddly values taught by integration propaganda. The system's trick also backfires where the treatment of animals is concerned. Inevitably, many people extend to animals the soft values and the aversions of violence that they are taught with respect to humans. They are horrified by the slaughter of animals for meat and by other practices harmful to animals, such as the reduction of chickens to egg-laying machines kept in tiny cages, or the use of animals in scientific experiments. Up to a point, the resulting opposition to mistreatment of animals may be useful to the system. Because a vegan diet is more efficient in terms of resource utilization than an omnivorous one is, veganism, if vitally adopted, will help to ease the burden placed on the Earth's limited resources by the growth of the human population. But activists' insistence on ending the use of animals in scientific experiments is squarely in conflict with the system's needs, since for the foreseeable future there is not likely to be any workable substitute for living animals as research subjects. All the same, the fact that the system's trick does backfire here and there does not prevent it from being on the whole a remarkably effective device for turning rebellious impulses to the system's advantage. It has to be conceded that the trick described here is not the only factor determining the direction that rebellious impulses take in our society. Many people today feel weak and powerless, for the very good reason that the system really does make us weak and powerless, and therefore identify excessively with victims, with the weak and the oppressed. That is part of the reason why victimization issues such as racism, sexism, homophobia, and neocolonialism have become standard activist issues. On this subject, see Industrial Society and Its Future, sections 10 through 23. 5. An example. I have with me an anthropology textbook in which I've noticed several nice examples of the way in which university intellectuals help the system with its trick by disguising conformity as criticism of modern society. In the cutest of these examples, the author, William A. Haviland, quotes in adapted form an article by one Rhonda K. Williamson, an intersex person. That is, a person born with both male and female physical characteristics. Williamson states that the American Indians not only accepted intersex persons, but especially valued them. She contrasts this attitude with the Euro-American attitude, which she equates with the attitude that her own parents adopted toward her. Williamson's parents mistreated her cruelly. They held her in contempt for her intersex condition. They told her that she was cursed and given over to the devil, and they took her to charismatic churches to have the demon cast out of her. She was even given napkins in which she was supposed to cough out the demon. But it is absurd to equate this with the modern Euro-American attitude. It may approximate the Euro-American attitude of 150 years ago, but nowadays almost any American educator, psychologist, or mainstream clergyman would be horrified at that kind of treatment of an intersex person. The media would never dream of portraying such treatment in a favorable light. Average middle-class Americans today may not be as accepting of the intersex condition as the Indians were, but few would fail to recognize the cruelty of the way in which Williamson was treated. Williamson's parents obviously were deviants, religious kooks whose attitudes and beliefs were way out of line with the values of the system. Thus, while putting on a show of criticizing modern Euro-American society, Williamson really is attacking only deviant minorities and cultural laggards who have not yet adapted to the dominant values of present-day America. Haviland portrays cultural anthropology as iconoclastic, as challenging the assumptions of modern Western society. This is so far contrary to the truth that it would be funny if it weren't so pathetic. The mainstream of modern American anthropology is abjectly subservient to the values and assumptions of the system. When today's anthropologists pretend to challenge the values of their society, typically they challenge only the values of the past, obsolete and outmoded values now held by no one but deviants and laggards who have not kept up with the cultural changes that the system requires of us. Haviland's use of Williamson's article illustrates this very well, and it represents the general slant of Haviland's book. Haviland plays up ethnographic facts that teaches readers politically correct lessons, but he understates or omits altogether ethnographic facts that are politically incorrect. Thus, while he quotes Williamson's account to emphasize the Indians' acceptance of intersex persons, he does not mention, for example, that among many of the Indian tribes, women who committed adultery had their noses cut off. whereas no such punishment was inflicted on male adulterers, or that among the Crow Indians, a warrior who was struck by a stranger had to kill the offender immediately, else he was irretrievably disgraced in the eyes of his tribe. Nor does Haviland discuss the habitual use of torture by the Indians of the eastern United States. Of course, facts of that kind represent violence, machismo, and gender discrimination. Hence, they are inconsistent with the present-day values of the system and tend to be censored out as politically incorrect. Yet I don't doubt that Haviland is perfectly sincere in his belief that anthropologists challenge the assumptions of Western society. The capacity for self-deception of our university intellectuals will easily stretch that far. To conclude, I want to make clear that I am not suggesting that it is good to cut off noses for adultery, or that any other abuse of women should be tolerated, nor would I want to see anybody scorned or rejected because they were intersexed or because of their race, religion, sexual orientation, etc., etc., etc. But in our society today, these matters are, at most, issues of reform. The system's neatest trick consists in having turned powerful, rebellious impulses, which otherwise might have taken a revolutionary direction, to the service of these modest reforms.
Yeah, but everybody wants to.
Talk about restoring order. There is no peace. This war's what I'm trying to stop. If it's a war they want, it's a war they don't get. Trust me.